जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna and welcome back. Thank you for joining. Today we are discussing verse number 27 of chapter number 2 from Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And in the previous verse, verse number 26, Krishna is giving an atheistic philosophy. And is saying to Arjuna that if, however, you think that the soul or the symptom of life is always born and dies forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty armed Arjuna. So Krishna is giving atheistic philosophy where he is saying that the soul takes birth and the soul dies. The body is just a combination of chemicals. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna that even if you consider the life to be chemicals, then these chemicals are existing everywhere. And by the conservation of energy, none of them are permanently destroyed. All that happens is the form is just temporarily changed. Means by the law of conservation, what happens is one form of energy is transformed into another form of energy. So that's what is Krishna saying here. But Krishna knows that Arjuna is intelligent and he won't accept that life is just a combination of chemicals or bunch of chemicals. Therefore, Krishna says the next verse, which is today's verse, verse number 27. So this is a very famous and very beautiful verse. One can memorize this verse. It's a very important verse too. So let's see what Krishna has to say in this verse. Chapter 2, verse 27. Jatasya hi dhruvar mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyarthe natum sochatum arhasi. So the first line says Jatasya hi dhruvar mrityur. So dhruva means it is fact. What is fact? Mrityu is sure to die. Who is sure to die? Jatasya. Jatasya means one or anything that has taken birth. So for one who has taken birth, the death is sure. That is the meaning of the first line. Jatasya hi dhruvar mrityu. The second line says dhruvam janma mritasya cha. So dhruvam means it is also a fact. What is also a fact? Somebody who has died, mritasya means died, or they will take again birth. That is janma, and cha means also. So anything that is dead will again take birth, and that is also a fact. That is the meaning of line B. So now Krishna says tasma, therefore. Therefore what? Apariharya arthe. Apariharya means of that which is unavoidable. So this cycle, somebody who is taking birth is going to die, and somebody who is dead is again going to take birth. So this is unavoidable thing. So arthe means in that matter. So the meaning of the line is therefore in the unavoidable circumstances in this matter, then what Krishna is saying? Natvam sochitum arhasi. You should not lament. You should not lament. So continuously in the last several verses, Krishna is repeating this to Arjuna, that you should not lament. You should not lament. The last line is the same, right? You should not lament. So if Bhishma and Drona are killed, they will anyway take the next birth for sure. And since they have already taken birth, the death is sure for them. And all of us, that we have taken birth, so death is sure. And those who are dead, for them birth is also sure. But this kind of statements actually do not give us a license to kill innocent people. So here Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and Kshatriya must perform their duty to protect the citizens from all the evils. So since Arjuna does not want to perform his duty, Krishna is trying to inspire Arjuna to perform his duty and re-establish dharma. So this verse is actually applicable to all the living entities. right, in this material world, beginning from Lord Brahma. He is also taking birth and he is going to die. Similarly, all the living beings which you see here, they are going to take birth, they are going to die, and again they are going to take birth. So this cycle, keeps on going, right from or beginning from Brahma to the smallest living entity. All have to go through this cycle of birth and death. So this is a very nice picture which very nicely explains, this person, is getting from his middle age is going to get old, and finally that person dies, but then again that person takes birth in another body and then keeps on growing old. So this transformation of the 6 stages of transformation of the body is shown over here in this one picture, as well as here there are different species which are also going through the cycle of birth and death is shown here. So this is a very important verse, since it reminds each and every one of us that since we have taken birth, we have to die. We have to die one day. Jatasya hi dhruvur mrityu. Because we have taken birth, we have to die. So we are reminded of our mortality. That day of death is unknown to us. As of today, we don't know. It can be any time from now. So what do we do about it? So whatever time is gone, we cannot bring it back. But whatever time is remaining, we should very wisely use it and prepare ourselves. Like if we go for a vacation, So if we are going for a vacation, we plan what are we going to do, what dresses are we going to take, we pre-book everything. So similarly, this is about our own life. This is about us. And none of our family members are able to help us in this situation. Actually, none of our family members, our money, our wealth, our home, our children, our wife, none of the people or none of the wealth, whatever we have accumulated, can help us. So only thing who can help is ourselves. We must help ourselves. So how should we do it? Right? We know we need to help ourselves. How should we do it? So the first thing is by acquiring knowledge, which is given by the Supreme Lord in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. That's what we are doing right now. We are learning about the science of soul. Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita. So this is the first step. Then after understanding this first step, then we apply this knowledge in our day-to-day life. Basically live by the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, right? So then after applying this in our life, then what will happen? That will make our life successful in this present body and in the future journey we'll be going through. So Srila Prabhupada, many times he says, and he always used to say that, life is a preparation and death is an examination. So the preparation is studying or acquiring knowledge from the Shastras, particularly Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is giving all this knowledge, understanding it and then applying it in our life and live our life according to the scriptures, according to the instructions given in the scriptures, under a direction of bona fide spiritual master. So bona fide spiritual master is Guru. So Guru is, we need to surrender to a Guru to get guidance in life. So that is explained in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Whoever wants to understand this science has to approach a spiritual master, a Guru, who is a realized soul. So before, we accept a Guru in our life, we at least start understanding that we need a Guru under whom we can study this Shastra and surrender our life to the services of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. So let's see what Srila Prabhupada has to talk about this particular verse in the purport. So first Prabhupada talks about is cycle of birth and death. So Jatasya hi dhruvur mrityu means somebody who has taken birth, death is certain, and somebody who has died, the birth is certain. So this is a cycle of birth and death. So one has to take birth according to one's activity of life. So that is called as karma. So whatever activity we are doing is karma. And after finishing one's terms of activity, one has to die to take birth for the next one. So this cycle keeps on going, like the soul takes or accepts a new body on the or a birth, and then acts in that body. The act on the basis of what? Of his previous desires. So then after that the person will die. So after that, when the body is old and useless, the person will die. And then after death, the person had those past desires which were not fulfilled in this life, right? So it will take another body to fulfill those desires, and based on the desires and what they deserve, they get another body, and then they continue the journey. So this is the cycle of birth and death. It keeps on going. But breaking this cycle of birth and death, that is called as liberation. So this is what Bhagavad Gita is teaching. This is the main message of Bhagavad Gita, that breaking this cycle of birth and death. So Prabhupada continues in the purport saying that in this way one is going through one cycle of birth and death after another without liberation. So if we keep on going within this cycle, we take birth, you perform our karma, you create more desires, and then you die. Then that unfulfilled desires, for fulfilling that desire, we take another birth. So this cycle keeps on going until we break this cycle. So this is very important, breaking the cycle of birth and death. And Prabhupada is saying, if we are not breaking the cycle of birth and death, means we are not attaining liberation. So without liberation. So liberation means you are released from this cycle of birth and death. So somebody knows this knowledge that you're not going to, if you kill somebody, then they are going to continue in their next life. So with this knowledge, Prabhupada is saying that it is very important to know that we cannot cause any unnecessary violence. You cannot unnecessarily go and kill people, like all this terrorism, what is going on in the contemporary world. They kill innocent people. Without their knowledge, they don't know, the people who are doing here their daily activities, and suddenly something happens, and a blast or something happens, and so many people are unnecessarily dead. So this is not what is explained in Bhagavad Gita. What is Bhagavad Gita explaining is explained in the last paragraph by Prabhupada, applying this philosophy in Arjuna's case. So knowing this, we cannot actually engage in unnecessarily causing violence or disrupting the activities of the souls in the society. Right? The cycle of birth and death does not, however, support unnecessary murder, slaughter and war. Yeah? So this is not required. This is absolutely unnecessary, to kill some innocent people. Violence necessary to keep law and order. So just as everything is necessary, similarly violence is also necessary. That's why we have police and we have military, to protect the normal citizens and to maintain the law and order. So sometimes, they are engaged in violence. It is required at that time, because people, when they become crazy, then in order to control them, some kind of violence is required. But at the same time, violence and war are inevitable factors in human society for keeping law and order. So for that purpose, it's okay. It is the government who has ordered to do that. And when somebody is acting under government, the laws of the government, then they are safe. That is allowed. But not unnecessarily going and killing people around us, that is not allowed altogether. Applying this philosophy in Arjuna's case, the battle of Kurukshetra, being the will of Supreme, was an inevitable event, and to fight for the right cause is the duty of Kshatriya. So the battle of Kurukshetra was fought for protecting dharma, because there was too much evil in the society during that time, and Lord Krishna himself wanted to re-establish the dharma. So therefore Arjuna as a Kshatriya has to perform his duty, and duty for the welfare of citizens. Why should Arjuna be afraid or aggrieved at the death of his relative, since he was discharging his proper duty? Right? So he was doing his duty, he was acting under Krishna's guidance, so why he should be hesitant to fight? He did not deserve to break the law, thereby becoming subjected to the reactions of sinful acts, of which he was so afraid. So when somebody is acting under the, like a soldier acting under the government's order, or Arjuna in this case acting under Lord Krishna's order. So when somebody acts under the superior's guidance, then they are protected. They are not subjected to sinful reactions of whatever actions they are doing. While it to the outsider it may look like violence, but no, they are acting under the direction of the government, or they are acting under the direction of the Lord in Arjuna's case. By avoiding the discharge of proper duty, he would not be able to stop the death of his relatives. So this is another point, that even if Arjuna doesn't carry out his duty, the relatives are going to die. According to this verse, somebody who has taken birth is sure to die. Right? So that is going to happen. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, or sometime later. But that's going to happen. And he would be degraded due to his selection of the wrong path of action. So when the Kshatriyas, when they do not perform their duty, it's an act of negligence. Like a soldier or a policeman, when they do not perform their duty of protection, then it's a crime by negligence. Right? So they have to act because they have been trained to act. They have been given that position to act. So similarly, Arjuna over here, he is actually a Kshatriya by birth, and he was trained to be Kshatriya and was trained to perform his dharma. But in the battlefield, for time being, he is acting like a person who is lamenting, who he doesn't want to perform his duty because of his overly affection of his relatives who were on the side of adharma. So with this, I think this is the end of the discussion in the purport, and all the points in the purport have been put in this presentation format so that you can study it later. So with this, we'll stop here and we'll continue our discussion in the future verses in future session. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Bol.